I'm Travis, and this is how I do things. Welcome to the ultimate beginner's guide to woodworking. Today we're diving into the wonderful world of sawdust, splinters, and the satisfaction of completing a project. Maybe. But don't worry, I'm here to guide you through it, hopefully without losing any fingers. Let's get started. If you think you can just wing it with determination alone, think again. You're going to need some tools, and here are the tools I suggest to get you started. Every project will require a tape measure. Measure twice and cut once. Or in my case, measure once, cut 3 times, and hope for the best. Also, get a second one because you're definitely going to misplace the first one. Get some good wood glue like this Titebond. There are different types for different applications. It'll add a lot of strength to the joints in your project. When done properly, a glue joint is stronger than the wood itself. Just pay attention to how you use it. For example, you can use it to glue up several pieces of wood to make a panel like this, but don't use it to glue on breadboard ends. Ask me how I know. You're going to need clamps. Just when you think you have enough, you're probably going to want more. They're great for holding things to your workbench while you're working on them and holding joints and panels together while the glue dries. And of course, a power drill. You'll use it for drilling holes and installing wood screws. If you want to use pocket holes, you're going to need it for that too. Get yourself a handsaw. It's great for making basic cuts and for dramatically gesturing while telling your friends about your new hobby. Hey man, listen, I'm telling you, you got to start woodworking. It's fantastic. You're going to make lots of cuts and it's going to be cool and we're going to have a good time together. You need to do this, man. Get into this with me. You wouldn't believe the things that I've been doing. Look at this. Can you do that? I didn't think so. While the handsaw is nice for shorter cuts, you'll also want a circular saw. With practice and a straight edge as a guide, you can make pretty clean and accurate cuts. Occasionally you'll want to make cuts that aren't straight. For that, you'll want a jigsaw. I would also recommend getting a pocket hole jig. They're perfect for joining things together when you're first starting out, and they're also simple to use and don't require you to learn difficult joinery right away. You'll definitely need a sander to smooth out your work before you apply your finish. Also, a hammer, because sometimes you just need to give something a good whack. It's also great when using nails or chisels. There are a lot of different types of hammers for different purposes, but I've gotten by for a long time with just a regular hammer using a sacrificial piece of wood when necessary. With just these tools, I've built tons of things before I stepped up and bought anything too expensive. Start with these tools and add one here and there as you find limitations while building things. Oh, I did forget one tool. Me. Wait, no, stop. That didn't come out right. My channel gives you all sorts of tips to help you on your journey. So make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Next up, your workbench. It's your command center for all things woodworking. When I first started woodworking, I built everything on the floor like a caveman. That's fine for a few projects, but your knees will hate you. So don't do that for too long. There are lots of features you can put on your workbench, but the most important thing is that it's a nice sturdy surface, preferably one that doesn't wobble like a 3-legged chair at a family reunion. My workbench doesn't have legs at all. That's because I don't have very much space in my shop once I pull my car in here. So my workbench folds down to save space. You can even buy a sturdy table like this DeWalt folding table. It'll give you a sturdy surface to work on, but also allow you to fold it up and put it away when you're not using it. There's also a lot of good space-saving workbench solutions that allow you to fold up your workbench and hang it on the wall. But if you don't have any space limitations, go nuts. Make a huge workbench that has plenty of space for anything you might need. There also are a lot of features you can add to your workbench, like a vise or bench dog holes to help hold your workpiece in place. You could even build it so your table saw or router table are integrated right into it. This makes your workbench also act as a built-in outfeed table. Now let's talk about organization. You don't want to spend half your day looking for your tape measure. Trust me, I've done that. It's not productive. Spend time organizing your screws and nails so you can find them quickly. This is actually a bad example. I do have everything sort of organized, but it's still hard to see what's in here. Maybe I'll design a nice screw and nail organizer and make a video about that. The ability to be able to move your tools around on your walls is very helpful. You can do this in many ways, including French cleats, pegboards. I just hang my stuff on the drywall and I patch holes every now and then. Hang your tools where you can see them. Keep the tools you use the most often within an arm's reach if possible. It'll take a little time to get your tools organized, but it'll save you a lot of time later. Eventually, you're going to have a lot of scrap wood laying around, so come up with some sort of good storage solution. Also, try to keep your workspace as clean as possible. I'm still working on that one. All right, it's safety time. This is where we get a little bit serious. You wouldn't drive a car without your seatbelt, right? So don't start woodworking without the basics. First, safety glasses. You want to be able to see your beautiful projects once you finish them. So protect your eyes from any wood or metal that might fly at your face. Power tools are loud. If you don't protect your ears, you won't hear your family complaining about all the time and money you're spending on your new hobby. When you're doing a lot of cutting or sanding, protect your lungs. The easiest way is to wear some sort of dust mask. If you want to take it a step further, add some sort of dust collection system. That could be as simple as a vacuum with a cyclone filter. I use a dust extractor. If I had more space, I would get a dedicated dust collection system. I also like to run an air filtration system to pull some dust particles out of the air. I even use an air quality meter to let me know when it's time to put on my mask. And always have a first aid kit on hand. Eventually you're going to need it. Even if you don't, just seeing it as a constant reminder to be safe. Before diving into your masterpiece, practice. Grab some scrap wood and channel your inner Picasso. But instead of canvas, you're working with lumber. I know you're eager to get started. But if your first cut looks like a toddler had to go with a crayon, take a step back. Practice makes perfect. Trust me, I've had a lot of practice and I still make a lot of mistakes. Focus on being safe. Make a nice straight line and try to follow it. Don't bother using the guide on a circular saw or jigsaw. They're known to be inaccurate. Look at where the blade is cutting the material. Once you start your cut, try not to stop if possible until the cut is finished. This process will also help you learn what type of blades work better for your saw and the materials that you're using. Generally speaking, a blade with more, smaller teeth is meant for slower, high-quality cuts. Fewer and larger teeth are meant for faster cuts. Practicing will also help you learn that which side of the mark you make your cut on can be important. Now on to your first project. I'd suggest a classic birdhouse. Why? Because birds don't care about your skill level, they just want a nice place to chill. Follow these simple steps. Cut your wood, nail it together, and then watch as birds completely ignore your hard work. It's rewarding in a totally heartbreaking way. But seriously, it's the perfect beginner woodworking project, and I have simple downloadable plans you can get with the link down below. Just take your time and enjoy the process. You'll learn so much and you'll have lots of fun. Lastly, let's talk about wood finishing. You want your project to look good, right? Stains, paints, and oils really complete your project. But before you apply any finish, be sure you've sanded enough. This part is not so glamorous, but it's an important step. What grit you use and how much sanding you do depends a lot on which finish you choose. Painted projects might not need as much sanding because you're covering a lot of your mistakes. Paints are probably the most beginner friendly. They can be applied by spraying, rolling, or using a brush. Stains will require your joints to be a little bit better and require you to work your way through several grits of sandpaper to get a good finish. Stains can usually be brushed or rubbed on. Oils are really just protecting the wood and enhancing the natural color that is already there. For those type of finishes, you really want to pay attention to the details and spend lots of time sanding the surface as perfectly as possible. I usually apply oils with a fine scrubby pad like this to really work the oil into the surface. Then I let it soak in for a while and wipe it off. So there you have it, my ultimate beginner's guide to woodworking. Now go forth and create! Just do your best to keep all your fingers. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more adventures in woodworking. Until next time, stay safe and start making some sawdust.